So bash script. So bash script is literally a text file that contains list of your bash commands. It can be as simple as just ls. So you have a file and each line will contain your commands. First line runs first, Linux will run the second line, and then third line, it will go through all the lines that you have in the bash script. You can have one line, ls, and that's what we're going to do first. But the reason for using bash script for us, there are about 3 reasons. So we want to make a note of what we do. Say Simone has been working on a project and she has been working on Linux shell, just typing whatever commands that she needed to finish the project. But for others to see what Simone did on the project, we have to look at the history of the commands that she typed, which is almost impossible for us to see her personal input commands line that she typed into the shell. So by creating a bash script, we can make a note of what I did. For the reproducible science, we have to make all the records of all the commands that we make on the data to make sure that project can be repeated with exactly the same process. So one thing is for making a note. And second reason is, let's think about the loops that we did in the shell. If I make a typo, I have to erase everything that I've written for that loop and then start again from the typo. So it's becoming difficult to edit. So that's why we are creating a cleaned up document first of the commands that we will use, and then we edit them, we finalize them, and then we run them. Okay. And last reason that I can think of can be progress into building of software. So we start by using one single command ls, but then we start to mix different commands like awk, grab. We are now advancing with our skills in Linux. So your commands becomes a little more complex. And then these commands can be cleaned up into a script, and then you can have different scripts doing different things. Then you can merge them into that becomes your software. You started with a unit of commands, but now you are making something more like a community of your commands doing something for your project. Okay, so this is what we will do. Let's do this. So let's type vi under your home directory, Linux tutorial, and then mycode.sh. This will open vi. You are telling the vi to open or create a file called my_code.sh on this directory. So you're just telling vi, open it or create it. Okay, type enter. Then you will see your empty screen like this. So you are now inside vi. So once you get into vi, what you do is type I, the character I in your keyboard. Then you will see -- insert. This is when you can write. And then type ls home directory / Linux_tutorial / MRI_root. And then press ESC, escape button on your keyboard. Once you type ESC, your insert notification has to be gone. And then you type :WQ on your keyboard. And then press enter. Once you're back out into the shell, you do ls home directory Linux tutorial / my_code. Now you will see a file called mycode. Shall we try printing them? Cat tutorial mycode, and it has mycode. So I now have a bash script, and this is how you run them. You do bash and give it a path for the code. So you are telling Linux shell to run this and run using bash. And you do bash and then type enter. So it will return you raw data. It's just running this one single line of command that you included in your bash code. All right. And as Nastya mentioned, sometimes we just do half of the code. Let me try this. It also returns me the same output, but there's a catch. If I write my code in Python, it's going to still run with bash. If I write my code in R, if I do dot, it will still run my Python code with bash or R code with bash. So dot is looking for settings in your code, and then if it can't find the settings, it will just execute it with a bash, which is the default behavior of your shell. When your code is something else than bash, like Tish or Python or R, you will have to specify what you will run with. But for bash, I think it's safe for us to use just dot, but it is good practice to verify the shell, what program to run my code with. So I think this is quite advanced use. I would recommend you to stick with bash. But this is a really good question because when it comes to Python, we deal with a lot of different Pythons in our system. So for P&L, we have Python that sets up, Python that I set up, Python that you have by default, which is from Eris. So we have to choose which Python to use when we run specific Python code. In that way, we can choose different Python Kevin. So when you run my code, use Python Kevin, or just use default Python when you're running something. Okay. So dot will look for settings within the code, and if you do not have the settings stated within the code, it's gonna just run it a default program, which is bash. Cool. Now we can write a script in bash in how many weeks? In 3 weeks. Good. There's a task that I wanted you to do. So I want you to write a bash script on the Linux tutorial called my_code_1.sh. And I want your bash script to do 1 and 2. First, find all files that ends with anet on the home directory Linux tutorial and MRI root. So I want you to find it. And then I want you to copy the files found above to a new MRI folder, MRI_root_new on the home directory Linux tutorial. Okay, let me go through this again. So you will find all the files that ends with anet.nii.zz on the MRI root that we have on the Linux tutorial. And then you're going to copy that exact structure to a new folder called MRI root_new. So these two folders will have similar, almost same structure for the directories that has anet.nii.gz, but it's not going to have diffusion file. I just want you to copy anatomical files only into the MRI root_new, following the same structure that you had in the MRI root. These two simple tasks are using loop, find, and variables and string, and writing bash. This is not easy. Have a go at it, and then I can do it together with you.